This is the ultimate showdown, ultimate destiny, and only one will survive. I wonder who it will be. This is the ultimate showdown.
Hello there, my fellow hunters, and look, for me, as much as Iceborne is incredible with just so many new things, new monsters, new mechanics, and just new ridiculousness, I can't deny that a big part of me is going, well, the thing I'm most looking forward to is Turf Wars, because I love monsters as creatures, right? It's what sparked my interest in this game and what rooted it deep to this day. I love looking at them as actual wildlife, albeit, you know, exaggerated, but in World especially, they have their patterns, their path, their interactions with the world, and they actually really live and breathe. So when it comes to, well, territorial disputes, it's fun to see answered the age-old question of who would win? And even in drawing situations, it's fascinating to see just how they go about combating each other. So we've already seen Odo versus Tigrex, and it would seem that they draw, which I am calling bullshit on, because as much as I love little Odo, I really do. He is just a symbol of a can-do attitude. He goes after Val. Tigrex is ridiculous. He is as psycho-aggressive as Odo, but with 3 times his body weight and strength. He should win the fight, but it looks like they're going for Apexes will draw. The Nagakuga and Rathalos fight seems to be a draw. Shit! So I would imagine your Apexy flagships that we're going to get are all going to draw with each other, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to be awesome to seeing how that draw comes about, though still feel like some of them shouldn't draw. Either way, these are the turf wars I most want to see in regards to Tigrex and Glavenus. And Glavenus especially, because my word, it's going to be exciting to see how he uses that tail sword of his. So, let's begin with Tigrex. So this guy is just pure power and aggression, but also he got the moves. The first and obvious one I have to say is we need to see Tigrex versus Nagakuga. Now again, they're gonna likely draw, but we need to see that debate at least given credence in World's ridiculousness, because everyone has their own opinion. Team Naga, Team Tigrex, who would take who? And I think there is plenty meritable arguments for both. They have similar skill sets, but they both have the edge in certain categories, and could you argue the extra deadliness of the claws of Naga, his extra speed and agility, or does the sheer extra power of the Tigrex win through? I'm kind of excited to see that, and I feel like we will get it, right? Tigrex is a roaming predator. We're going to see him in every bloody zone. Hell, they might even in World give him a Basil/Joe role of surprise, it's Tigrex time, which would be just fantastic, and therefore he is going to be fighting a lot of people. I mean, he has a little Radoban turf war, and that's the thing I wasn't expecting. I could really live without seeing Tigrex fight Radoban, so maybe they really are going all out on turf wars this time around and just doing every bloody combination they can think of. So, also then, Tigrex, number 4, what I'd love to see is, well, Glavenus himself. I mean, that's one thing we have to have. We have to have all of them have a go at Glavenus, just because, to me, Glavenus is by far the craziest monster we know we're getting so far. He just is so unlike anything else, and I got to know how he ends up being fought, because he is huge, and Tigrex very low to the ground. Is he going to be the one jumping on backs? Perhaps even against a Devil Joe, which would certainly come in at number 3 here. I guess I should combo it with Basil. I want to see how the venerated, powerful flagships go against what I would say are the tier 3.5 monsters, the Elder Dragon level of which Devil Joe and Basil as his equal is supposedly at. In theory, they should both beat Tigrex, but I would really like to know how they plan on going about that, because Tigrex should absolutely shred the soft, fleshy hide of a Devil Joe in one hell of a titanic clash. I can see Basil's bombs being a huge problem for him because he really has no defense to point-blank explosions. In fact, very few monsters do, which is why Basil is so dominating. But at the same time, Tigrex really is powerful. Like, it really can't be underestimated just how much raw strength he is packing with more than the will to use it. He just is a freight train of flesh and claws, and he just cannot be stopped, at least not by much. So I really am very much looking forward to see who can stand up to his charge. And on that note, in number 2, can any of the Elder Dragons? A Nergigante Tigrex brawl would be amazing. And granted, the only time we've seen a non-Elder Dragon fight one is Odogaron. And again, he has all the respect in the world for that. But I could definitely see it happen with something like a Tigrex. Especially as Tigrex has the same kind of mentality as Odo, which is, I don't care who you are, what you are, I'm gonna rip your throat out. And that is something that is just wonderful to see, if you're not on the other end of it, of course. But I have a feeling that he would really go for it. I don't think no Tigrex is gonna just be scared off by the mere presence of an Elder Dragon like a lot of monsters. I think he would give it his best goddamn effort, and we can be proud of that. I think he would go at Nergigante, and he would come out definitely the loser, but I think he would leave Nergi going, I'm Nergigante, and I'm here to say, you have my respect this day. And that's kinda awesome. I think Tigrex is going to be a real domineering factor in the new world, even if he does get, like, bodied by a few Elder Dragons along the way. And I've not brought up Velkhana because I feel like she's going to very pointedly in a cutscene thrash Nergi, so we're like, oh, this is serious! And, you know, it sets up her power level, because even the Eater of Elders is struggling with her. I kinda can see that coming, so I don't want to quite delve into what she's going to be doing yet. But by far and away, the one I want to see most with Tigrex is I want to see a turf war between Tigrex and Popo!
Happening? I have no idea.
Look, I couldn't resist, and it is going to be fun seeing him actually doing his hunting in, well, his natural self. That is going to be a true delight. So, let's move on then to Glavenus. This is where it gets ridiculous, because, like, he has a flaming tail sword. How are we going to have that used in a turf war without it literally bisecting monsters? What I will start then with is number 5. I need to see Glavenus versus Rathian, where he absolutely dunks her. Because, little known fact actually, the Rathian in the trailer that the Glavenus is sneaking up on is the Rathian that he cut the wing spikes off. She's still missing them. And it's like,
I'm not finished with you.
as Glavenus has slowly swam to the new world to chase her down. I absolutely love it. See, a part of me, I know they'd never do it because it would break things mechanically if monsters could literally kill each other or finish each other off, but I would love a mechanic whereby if a monster is low enough, let's say it is at the sleep threshold, and it turf wars with a monster that normally beats it, instead of just beating it, it actually finishes it off in a special interaction that has established, well, rivalry. So if you injure a Rathian weak enough in Glavenus turf wars, she just gets sheared and killed. I think that would add such cool flavor to proceedings, and again, they might not do it, well, likely not do it because it's just a free kill on the monster, but really, as a Rathian, is that such a bad thing to add that level of awesome flavor? I don't necessarily think that it is. And then for Glavenus, I need myself to see how he handles, well, her Avenger, the Rathalos himself. How does he fight that which comes from the sky? How would he fight Astalos if Astalos ever got involved? Is he going to do some leaping sword, aerial greatsword shenanigans to try and get at him? In all of the Rathalos turf wars, they tend to get low to the ground and give the ground-based monster opportunity to fight, which is kind of silly, but I don't know, I can see most Glavenus turf wars ending up with a part break and absolutely decimating their opponent. At number 3 then, since Glavenus is either going to be on the Recess or the Wildspire, or both, that's where he likes to, well, roam, we have to have him go up against the Diablos. We have to see how he takes/evades the Diablos charge and then counters with his own slice. Again, removing the horn would be absolutely perfect, much like the actual Diablos versus Diablos turf war. Because there are a lot of turf wars that do break parts, especially ones involving explosions and the like, so definitely Glavenus is going to get involved with that. There's no way that he doesn't. So to see him kind of step to the sides, use his smarts, lure the Diablos into a charge, and then go on with the slice? Please let Glavenus be the first monster that can tail cut in a turf war. Can you imagine that? How appropriate would it be? How amazing. He smoothly dodges Diablos, then on the charge past, he slices the tail off, sending him spinning off into a wall. And he could do it. He is the craftiest, the smartest of the brute wyverns. He's got the noggin thinking to do it. His cookie is smart. And I want to see it. I need to see it. Don't get me wrong, a full impact Diablos charge would absolutely decimate him, and I could see him standing up after the tail cut, getting angry and just charging into the back of him while Glavenus is being too smug, celebrating the whole encounter, and that's how it ends up in a draw, because again, I don't think they're going to let any of the main monsters outright beat any of the others, but that would be a wonderful way to just show how he fights, that creativity, that intelligence, that well-placed use of the sword. Then we've also got to see Glavenus again go up on against Elder Dragons. I feel like this is something that we need to see more of and more of and more of, and not just because, it'd be cool watching them all fight Elder Dragons, because we need to see more and more why Elder Dragons are Elder Dragons, why they are so dominant, why they are so feared, why they are another level altogether. What better way to show that off than have an Elder Dragon effortlessly batting aside something as monstrously powerful as a Glavenus? Imagine a Teostra just outright heating up so much that even the Glavenus has to back off. Imagine Glavenus doing his flippy jump slam through the air, Teostra supernovaing as he's careening towards him, and with the force of the explosion sending Glavenus spiraling away, and then limping away with his tail sword between his legs.
Oh my god, he's so goddamn cool!
I want more in-depth, more acrobatic, more all-out war turf wars, and based on Tigrex versus Odo, it seems like we're definitely going to get some of those. Not just quick little interactions, but actual full-on brawls across the zone that we're going to be witness to, and that is really amazing. I would also love a turf war where a monster gets actually pinned down and held, and it acts like a full-on environmental trap because the hunters have time to DPS them because it's just being held down and pinned. I could see that happening, especially if Glavenus attacks something in the tier 1 camp, which is something I would really like, hitting it so hard, clobbering it with the sword, that maybe it just straight KOs it afterwards, leaving it there vulnerable for you to assault. But by far, the turf wars I want the most, especially involving Glavenus, and this is a pipe dream, because it's against monsters that we don't even know we're going to get, and maybe likely even aren't. But I don't think you can disagree when I say how amazing it would be to have turf wars between all of the Fated Four. Glavenus versus the other three, and all the other combinations included, actually see them go to town on each other with their countering elements, and actually have them in their rock, paper, scissors, because they should have different combinations of beating each other. Glavenus should beat a Gammoth. A Gammoth should beat Mizutsune. Mizutsune should be beaten by Astalos, and so on and so forth, and you could really have this all-out brawl. Imagine a special arena quest with all 4 of them in as they just take turns fighting each other. The spectacle of it would be immense. And look, I realize this video is mostly just me vaguely going, things would be cool, let's talk about the things. And yeah, it is, but that's what we're in right now. Iceborne hype and Turf Wars are the hypest of hypes, and I just need to see them. I need to talk about them, right? Granted, you know, this is focused around examples of ones I would like to see, but I really want to see them expand the Turf War mechanic. I want it to be a much bigger deal than just, well, alright, 5-second break in the fight while the monsters fight. I want it to really have ramifications. I want it to be tactical. I want you to have the opportunity to specifically lead 2 monsters together because you know that the one that you're hunting is going to be severely weakened or impaired by bringing it to the one that you've brought it to. And not just the free damage you get, yeah, that's useful, but maybe in a more tangible way. Maybe you do need that Diablos tail cut, so you lead it to a Glavenus. That is the lovely stuff I want, really using your environment as world is pushing. And guess what? The enemy monsters that aren't your main target are part of that environment that you can use. And yeah, you could argue, again, that's what Turf Wars already is doing, but I think there's so much room to play with this system. I would like it where there's 2 monsters that have such heated rivalry, such venomous hate for each other, that they essentially ignore the hunter while they're in the same zone and just all out fight, not just in the scripted Turf War, but actually fight each other, like, yes, monsters do in World, but incessantly until either one of them leaves or one of them is dead, and then you as the hunter are still desperately trying to kill your target, but you're now trying to weave and dodge between this titanic fight that's happening, and you're really insignificant in between it as you just try and chip away at your intended target while desperately trying to avoid being collateral damage yourself. That would be fantastic. I could see that happening with Rajang if he ever got introduced. I guess I just like the potential for Turf Wars, and the Tigrex Odo one really shows me that we might be going in that direction, and I just wanted to get excited and talk about it. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what Turf Wars you're looking for. Let me know if you'd like them to be developed into a heavier mechanic. Like if you've enjoyed this, subscribe for more. Oh, goodbye.
Rage Gaming with the video flow.
But that's all that's really relevant at the mo, but I'm still gonna leave this up so you patrons know that I love you even though the outro's no longer that kind of relevant. But the new one's being worked on and it's gonna be a truly badass song, and don't worry, I won't be doing any rapping on it. I'm gonna go now. This was shit.